Welcome to Always Talking Ball with Drew and Ethan,
What's going on?
featuring yours truly. And not lots has happened, just one game. The national championship where the Ohio State Buckeyes won the national title.
hmm Yeah, and how about Will Howard kind of being from a game manager to kind of like a game changer?
Jeremiah Smith had a huge game that game.
Yeah, man, that 56-yard throw on 3rd and 11 was so clutch at the end. That was insane. Notre Dame brought like 7 guys in the box, and Ohio State had more guys somehow to defend them. And Jeremiah Smith just runs right down the sideline, past the corner, and gets it.
He's one of the greatest freshmen I've seen of all time.
Like, you gotta think in that moment, like the kind of ball control you have to have. The catch he had, it wasn't like a tip drill, but it wasn't perfectly placed in his hands. But the strength of his hands was able to just pull it in. It was just able to pull it
It was
in. That
just
was
phenomenal. That's the play that won the game for Ohio State.
yeah. Well, just think if they didn't make that 3rd and 11, Notre Dame had a really good shot at tying the game and potentially sending it to overtime.
Because they were getting hot. That was not a blowout in whatever way at all.
No, no. I think Notre Dame, what they that first drive where they wasted basically almost 10 minutes off the clock, wasting half of the first quarter, was just like it was like a it was like a buzzsaw right off the bat. And I think I heard that Riley Leonard threw up on the sidelines after that drive just because how many run plays he made on that drive. Um, but it almost seemed like they kind of wasted kind of the offensive juice all on that first drive, because after that, I mean, until the fourth quarter, really, they didn't really do much.
It's like they took a page straight out of the military school's books. With all those games that they've played against them, they took a page straight out their book with that 10-minute possession.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just I was kind of enamored by that 10-minute possession that Notre Dame had. I wasn't used to them having a 10-minute possession. Um,
yeah. Well, and what really surprised me, and I was after that drive, I was kind of like, okay, now Notre Dame, it looks like they're able to show. It looks like they're showing some kind of different physicality that Ohio State hasn't seen in quite a few weeks. I mean, that offensive line was pushing them at the line of scrimmage, but Ohio State's defense got their feet underneath them because they didn't do really much of anything throughout that first half.
And Ohio State's offense dominated, of course,
Oh yeah,
putting up
yeah,
like was it 34 points? 30 yeah, 34-23. But
yeah.
that was a huge fight by Notre Dame. I
Heck
I,
yeah.
I love the fight that they had in the game. It made it an interesting game for a little while.
Yeah. Well, when they scored that touchdown with Great House there at the end, man, I was just like, oh my gosh! And then when they got that 2-point conversion off that little trick play inside the red zone,
That
that
shovel pass was a phenomenal play call.
was yeah, that's gutsy. That's gutsy because I mean Ohio State's back end isn't. I mean they're not bad. I mean Caleb Downs isn't too bad.
Mm-mm. But
No,
Jalen Greater Jaden Greaterhouse, he
yeah,
sort of
popped off.
proved what kind of receiver he was. He's definitely a guy to look at for this next coming season.
Right.
He's
Yeah.
one of those Texas boys. Those Texas boys know to play ball.
Well, and besides Leonard I can't talk, running the ball, Jeremiah Love, I mean, he was pretty much shut down all night. He didn't do too much damage to that Ohio State defense. Overall, Ohio State wins the game and they win it all. But um, if you're a Notre Dame fan, this is your best. This is probably one of your best years since y'all went to the title. What in 2012? Yeah, 14-2. Ohio State finishes 14-2. Their first national championship since Urban Meyer in 2014. It's pretty good.
And the fact that you didn't get pummeled in the national championship should be a huge, huge positive.
I think it was actually really good to see. Obviously, the first week of the playoffs was kind of like we saw teams getting kind of blown out there, Tennessee and SMU. But those other playoff games and then the national championship game, those are actually really fun games. They weren't like blowout. Like they weren't. No team was out of it.
No, every single team fought tooth and nail after that first round. After that first round of really the
It
college
really,
football playoffs, everything
yeah.
started to amp itself up a little bit to another level. Except that
Well,
Boise State Penn State
yeah.
game, which really wasn't a competition. I would love to hear the stats.
All right, I'm your stat person. All right. So Ohio State had 445 yards of total offense. Notre Dame had 308. Ohio State passed for 231, while Notre Dame had more passing yards, 255. Ohio State ran the ball really effectively, 214 to 53 yards, so they couldn't run the ball really. Ohio State averaged around 7.2 yards a play, and Notre Dame averaged around 5.3 yards a play.
With the offensive yardage discrepancy, you couldn't really tell that there was that big of a gap between the two teams, considering that it was a semi-close game.
Yeah. Well, Notre Dame just went 3-and-out way too much in that first half. After that first drive, they couldn't do anything, and they couldn't. I mean, Notre Dame really throughout the year wasn't really built on to come back down from 17 points or 14. They came back from 24 points down. Not really built on coming back from a deficit like that. They're kind of more of a run the ball centric kind of offense.
They controlled the time of possession, like I said they would.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
and
that's that's their brand of football. That's always been their brand of football. I
yeah.
can't remember the last like super dominant receiver that they've had in recent history. You can't. I mean, they've had good quarterback play. I think Joe Montana went to Notre Dame
Mm-hmm. I
back in the
saw
'80s.
I saw Lou Holtz in the stands. Man, he's aged.
Yeah, definitely one of the greatest coaches in Notre Dame history.
Yeah. I saw Jim Tressel, who won a national championship. Urban Meyer was there.
Which makes
Uh,
you think did Brian Kelly make a mistake leaving Notre Dame?
Brian Kelly. No, I don't think so.
I mean, to be fair, he missed out on coaching a national championship team.
He's coached on the national championship team at Notre Dame when they got blown out by Alabama, 2012.
Yeah, but I think this team was a whole lot better than that 2012 team.
Yeah,
To be
yeah,
perfectly fair,
yeah.
let's be honest. I don't think their quarterback play in 2012 was as good as this year.
Mm-hmm.
Year in and year out, that offensive line continues to send dudes to the league.
Yeah. Well, Notre Dame I think they had a famous linebacker.
Manti Te'o, the guy with the fake girlfriend.
Yeah, yeah.
He has a real girlfriend now, guys.
And
I
you
think
also
he
had not Cam Maker.
don't fall for catfishing, guys.
You had Ian Book a couple of years ago. You
Yeah,
had
the all-time winningest Notre Dame quarterback.
Kyron Williams, I think.
Yep, that's a running back. He plays for the Rams now.
Yeah, so they've had some guys over the years.
Joe Alt,
Yeah.
dominant tackle, like offensive line. That's how they built their brand through toughness and fundamentals. And toughness and fundamentals almost got him a championship. I think again, if they can find another solid quarterback to run that
Yeah.
offense, they'll be right back there in that situation again.
All right. Now, do you want to get to kind of recapping college football?
This season, just because we started at like a quarter length of the season, yeah, we
Yeah.
started at like week 4. If we're looking at the whole season, that's probably one of the best seasons of college football in
Oh, for
history.
sure. And I'd also say this is probably like for in a long time, probably the most unpredictable college football season.
Very eerily similar to that '07 season.
Yeah, very very abnormal, I would say.
Lots and lots of upsets, and that's if you're looking at statistics, the upsets this amount of upsets doesn't happen like too often.
No, not at all. I can't tell you how many field storms we saw this year. I mean, that had to be a record breaking something because I had never seen that many field storms. I mean, it was and those field storms were seemed like every week. Like it wasn't just
I
every
know.
3 weeks or every 4 weeks or 2 weeks. It was almost like every week.
Those SEC officials, I mean, those commissioners are getting filthy rich off of all those fines.
Yeah, unfortunately, there wasn't a field storm in though on November 30th. Those damn T-sips. Had to ruin it for us.
Baylor got a field storm this year.
Yeah, over 5-4 TCU.
And
Right?
and then we got smacked by LSU. Well, I don't say smacked. We played pretty well in that game. It's just
Yeah, I was about to say y'all played pretty well. We won though, so can't
we
talk. Well,
we shot
okay,
our hey,
we have 12.
y'all lost to a quarterback who threw 3 interceptions.
Okay, Ethan, we get it. You can talk.
Okay, but I was low key rooting for y'all in that game. So
I was rooting for the big old BU, but
yeah, there's lots of optimism going into next season for us. Something that I don't usually have too much as a Baylor fan.
and just like a Texas fan or A&M fan or whoever, A&M's always gonna be like, oh, we're in the national championship race, and we are. But if you can't beat the good old T-Sips down in Austin, that's another problem.
The T-Sips, I love it. But yeah, this is a phenomenal season. We saw a 2,000-yard running back season. We saw
Judkins, you saw Hunter, you saw Cam Ward there. Add in Shador Sanders too, because he should have some respect as well.
And with the freshmen Jeremiah Smith, Ron Williams, the future of college football has never been looking better.
Dude, I can't even imagine what the receiving class is going to be when Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams are all seniors or juniors leaving for college ball. I mean, the talent that's coming in from high school to college, and I mean, it's just that class that Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams is in. That's going to be. And Ryan Williams is only 17 years old, so that adds on to it.
Yeah, Ryan Williams is younger than us both, which is just phenomenal.
It's crazy.
Dominating SEC defenses.
A 17-year-old making a Georgia Bulldog look like a little puppy on the field in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, you can't make it up. 17-year-olds dominating in college football. Yeah, 17-year-olds have dominated in the Olympics, but dominating the most physical sport on the planet of football.
Unheard of. I mean, the only other receivers I can think of this generation, really. I mean, Julio Jones at Alabama. Remember Michael Thomas at Ohio State. Mike Evans at A&M.
Mike Evans really popped off his freshman year.
Amari Cooper.
LSU's, even Jamar Chase in his sophomore campaign.
Justin Jefferson. The list goes on, and they keep getting better and better and better.
Yeah, it's just phenomenal. And it's kind of great to see these players getting their shine at such young ages. And I think that's been created by the transfer portal. If these kids aren't playing when they want to, they're going to go perform for another team. Like, if you don't play them now, they're out of here.
I mean, going to the portal part of it, I still think, like, if you're a freshman or a sophomore, I mean, you shouldn't, like, I don't think you should be allowed to transfer. Now, that's just my opinion, because as a freshman player, you're trying to get used to a new routine. Like, you're just moving from high school football to college football. And I get, I want to play immediately. And, there are players out there that can play immediately because they're talented. But a lot of the times, players have to redshirt because, I mean, if you're an 18-year-old guy and you're facing 18 to 23-year-old guys, that's a huge age gap. That's teenage strength versus, like, actual man strength. Usually the case is you probably have to redshirt your freshman year because not only that, but you got to learn a new scheme, right? Some people can't grasp a scheme as quick as others, right? Others can maybe grasp a scheme a little bit faster. Um, school, student athletes, you got to get your
Yes.
grades.
School's hard for you and I, and we're not even athletes. Like,
Exactly, exactly. And the rule, I mean, I think the rule still is put in place. I would be surprised if it wasn't, but if you don't pass, you're not getting on that field.
that's college football, high school football, junior high football.
Yeah. I mean, literally, your title is student, student first, athletes, student athletes. And I believe only, what is it, it's less than 2% of college players make it to the NFL. Not downgrading on the guys who don't make it to the NFL, but like, I think it's less than 2% making it to the NFL. And so getting a good education somewhere is, I'd say, pretty important.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty solid, but with all this NIL money floating
Yeah.
out there, I
Yeah.
think you can make enough to sustain yourself for 5, 6 years even after college.
Mm-hmm. And remember what Caden, one of our special guests, Caden came on to the show and was like, if they're not passing their classes and they're still dealing with NIL, they're still responsible for a lot of things.
They're not getting any NIL money if they're not
Yeah,
passing either,
yeah.
which is a
So
perfectly fair policy in place.
yeah, I mean, if you don't pass, you don't play. If you're not doing your business, then you don't get the rewards that go after that. That's just how it is.
You don't pass, you don't get paid. You don't get paid, you don't play. Yeah, you don't. If you don't play, you don't get paid. Vice versa. You know how it works. Again, this college football season, great hands.
Yeah.
Transfer portal, NIL.
And I think the playoff system, I would call it a success. Now I think the committee needs to look at maybe the bye weeks for those college football teams because every single team that had a bye week lost first round. But we'll see. And I know that there's been reports of them maybe expanding the playoffs to like 14 teams here in the next year or two. I don't know if they're actually going to do that. Um, but I don't know. I honestly think 12 is a good number because you got to understand you don't want more and more bowl games to not mean something.
The bowl games are so much fun.
Like the Rose Bowl, one of the most iconic bowl games of all time. Sugar Bowl, right? Now, given those bowl games are usually reserved for the playoffs, right? Because they're just that big. I don't know. Just as a college player, like playing a bowl game means you get like that's a reward for you. Like it's not just like it's not a free game. Not everybody makes the bowl game at the end of the year.
When it's all said and done, I don't even know how many teams make bowl games on average.
Here, I can search it up real fast. No, I just hate that the bowl games that like used to matter are kind of taking a slide a little bit. Like the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, right? If you were to ask somebody, "Hey, what's the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl?" If you ask any college football fan, they'd be like, don't quite know."
It used to be a big bowl game on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day.
Yeah. Or obviously the Orange Bowl is a big game. I don't think a whole lot of people have forgotten that. I hope not.
The Sugar Bowl.
Sugar Bowl, Fiesta Bowl. That's a big one.
Cotton Bowl. I mean, all these games that are being replaced with playoff games, Peach Bowl. I love the fact that all these playoff games are being replaced by bowl games, but like it just takes the importance from the bowl games themselves.
Yeah. Well, so the number of college football teams that make bowl games varies, but generally around 82 teams participate in 41 bowl games.
Yeah.
So
41 bowl games, like 80-ish teams.
Yeah.
That's about like 60%, like 55% of what we have.
Well, and obviously to be bowl eligible, you have to be over 500, which means at least 6 wins. at
6 and
least.
6, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
which because these bowl games give so much opportunities to smaller schools who don't get the national spotlight otherwise.
yeah.
When you're taking away these games and how like close they could be or how hard they can be played, you're taking away from these smaller schools who don't get too much exposure anyhow.
Right.
How
Yeah.
you're going to take away the very core, the very pageantry that drives college football. These small schools are what
Right.
make college football college football.
hmm Yeah. And I mean, yeah. And it, those so a lot of those bowl games get pretty good TV ratings if people tune in, so that helps that.
And a lot of them are very, very competitive. Not a lot of, like, you see the
Yeah,
small
there's not a
school,
lot of blowouts. They're very competitive. They're very close.
they're very interesting. And there's NFL talent in a lot of those games, too, that we just don't see.
Yeah, and I mean every game, every single game in college football, bowl games has shows NFL talent across the board. There's not one game that I've ever seen that has not shown NFL talent.
And an interesting one, I'd like to point out, Bowling Green's tight end, uh, Harold Fannin, who led all major tight end statistics this year in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. Didn't win the John Mackey Award over Tyler Warren, which he should have. He got absolutely robbed. But
Hmm.
Bowling Green having a tight end that dominant is something else.
I think they should keep it to 12 teams. It would
No, you
have
don't
to
need to go. You don't need to go past 14.
because if you go to 16, that's way too much. That's way too much.
You're losing too many bowl games at that point.
Yeah, yeah. Because then what are you going to do with those teams who finish the year maybe maybe finish the year 7-5 or 6-6? Like, what are you going to do with those teams? You can't put them in the playoff. I
Mm-mm.
mean, unless you have a really bad college football season, but that's not going to happen.
Which allows for worse teams to get in the college football bowl games,
Yeah.
lowering TV ratings. We don't want to see teams who didn't earn it to be there.
Right. Yeah.
Like we
Yeah.
saw Louisiana Tech in a bowl game versus Army because Marshall had a bunch of transfers and opt outs and all that. And Army obviously wiped the floor with Louisiana Tech.
hmm
But we don't want to see 5-7 teams in bowl games. We want to see teams that played hard to get there.
What do you think of players opting out of bowl games? What's your take on that? I know
I
it's been
mean,
happening for a couple of years, but what's your take?
from what I see, it's not all of it is necessarily bad. Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter both played in their bowl games, which they played in their bowl game. I give them huge props for that. Cam Ward played in his bowl game,
I think Milrow played in his bowl game.
which was that's phenomenal character by all those guys. I think it's starting to get less and less. It's getting less and less popular as it used to be. It wasn't
Yeah.
as popular to opt out this year, but
hmm
I just like I'm not a huge fan of opt outs in general
No.
because it just takes away the talent in the game.
Well, to me, like if I was a player, I'd want to finish my season with my guys. Like I wouldn't want to leave them early. I want to finish out the season, whether it's a win or a loss in a bowl game or playoff or whatever. I want to finish it with my guys. Like I don't want to end it early like that.
Yeah, it's almost like you're giving up on your guys, and that's something I'm not a huge fan of.
Yeah.
Like,
Now
yeah,
that's not the case. I mean, that's not all the case at all. I mean, you see guys opt out for the NFL draft so that they don't. I mean, there's benefits to that. I mean, let's just say if you're a top NFL player and you get injured in a bowl game, well, that backs up your healing. That backs up your training process because then you have to get all healed up. You have to do maybe physical therapy if you do. Um, there are benefits to opting out, but the general sense, I would like to finish out with my team that year. That's just
I got a great example of what you just said with the injury issue in the 2021 Sugar Bowl. You remember Matt Corral for Ole Miss?
I do. I do remember that.
He got injured in the Sugar Bowl against Baylor. He had a gnarly ankle injury,
I do
and
remember that.
he was projected like in the first round, second round, and he slid all the way to the fourth because of that injury. Which now I see why players would not want to play.
Yeah. So there's like everything. There's pros and cons to it. If you're, I mean, if you know you're going to get to the NFL and you know that you're going to have a lot of scouts talking to you and you're going to have, if you're going to be at pro day and the combine and you just don't want to risk anything, I completely understand. I
Mm-hmm.
completely understand that. But even if you're a top player, you still have to be like, well, did was my last game the last time with my guys, or am I going to play one last one?
I see it as an opportunity to raise your draft stock if your draft stock's not already
Yeah,
high.
yeah, yeah. Get higher up there.
You can show scouts what you have left to do, but that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a topic we really hadn't touched this year. I'm glad you brought that up.
yeah. Well, and like you said, and I do remember that Matt Corral injury. He was a projected first round draft choice, and then he went in the fourth round. Um, yeah, there's risks to everything, and that's one of them.
Yeah, and we got to see future Illini quarterback Lou Altmaier in that game, which is kind of crazy now that I think about it.
Yeah, yeah.
The college football really intertwines with every single team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
But now we're gonna go something not as traditional. We're gonna go look at the NFL a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna try and go out a little bit, explore something.
The NFL is something I am not particularly amazing at, but I can tell you a lot. The AFC Championship, obviously the huge one between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes,
Another one.
around like number 7 at this point.
And this one's in Arrowhead.
When are you gonna win, Josh? And make this interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Is he,
Buffalo Bills have never won a Super Bowl in their entire existence as a franchise.
hey, they already beat the Chiefs once, so why couldn't they do it again?
I mean, they're the only team that beat a fully capacitating Chiefs team, like a full capacity Chiefs. They're the
Full
only
team.
team that beat them at full power.
Yeah. Of course,
Which
that was on the road, so they had home field advantage, but
I just
it's the
think
one.
Buffalo is just different in that cold weather, man.
Well, Buffalo was 10-0 at home this year. They
And
didn't lose a single game at home.
they still haven't lost a game at home this year.
Cowboys wish they had that record.
We'd still figure out a way to lose in the playoffs, though. So,
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
but Josh Allen, a huge dual threat guy. Patrick Mahomes had a very okay regular season, but he always seems to perform in the postseason.
Yeah.
Especially with that amazing throw that he had in the divisional round.
To Kelsey.
Yeah, but Kelsey, I was like, I can't even get mad at that, bro. He's like, that was a phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, you can't defend that.
No, you can't defend You can't defend a perfect throw. That's what I heard
No.
Troy Aikman say on one of the games when Jaden Daniels made a throw with the guy getting his eyes covered and he caught it. Like,
I mean, some of that stuff you can't do anything about it. It's crazy. You can't.
it's just a perfect throw. You can't guard a perfect throw.
No. And when you're throwing it to Kelsey, it's gonna be a catch every time. I guarantee you.
Well, he was wide open, to be fair.
Yeah, he was, but I'm just saying, if you throw it to 87, he's gonna catch the ball no matter where it is.
The one thing I wish he didn't catch was Taylor Swift, but that's a whole nother discussion.
What is that one song that you absolutely dread?
I don't know.
Oh, is it Shake It Off?
I don't know. I don't really like much of her music. My mom and my sister listen to Taylor Swift, so that's how I've become uncomfortable in the past.
I know it's backwards, but this is America. I can say whatever the heck I want.
Yeah, but Taylor Swift didn't vote for that America. Anyway, Josh Allen, dual threat quarterback, double digit rushing touchdowns, about 28 passing.
Yeah.
Depleted weapons this year. He doesn't have Stephon Diggs like he used to.
No, but he has James Cook. He's got Knox, the tight end.
He has his wideout Shakir. He has Dalton Kincaid. All those guys.
Yeah.
But I think the Bills finally get their revenge in this game.
You think they knock him off?
I think they finally get their revenge on Sunday night.
Huh. Interesting. You think the Buffalo Bills are going to go into Arrowhead and knock off the two-time Super Bowl reigning champs and the Kansas City Chiefs?
Yeah, the back-to-back champs, repeat. I just, like, at this point, I'm looking for any way for these Chiefs to go down, and just figure out a way to end it. I don't like the Chiefs that much anyhow, just because when someone keeps on winning and winning and winning and winning, it just gets annoying. It's like Tom Brady back in the day. You just get so annoyed of it.
Well, I think the Bills are going to come into Arrowhead with a mission. I think they're going to come in with an edge. I think Josh Allen, he's already beaten Mahomes this year. He wants to make it 2-0 this year. And you know who I'm going to go with? I'm going to go with the dang Chiefs to beat the Bills at home.
Gotcha.
I think Mahomes gets to another Super Bowl. We'll predict the Super Bowl on another video, but I got Mahomes playing for another one.
The Super Bowl is like a whole holiday at this point.
It should be, yeah.
Do we need National Super Bowl Day or something? Like,
please, Trump.
No, but the NFC Championship, really, NFC Championship, we really didn't expect, to be perfectly honest. The NFC East title game, basically, the Commanders and the Eagles, two polar opposites, honestly. One team that has dominated the whole season on the back of their running back, Saquon Barkley, who was yards away from breaking Eric Dickerson's single-season rushing record. And on the other side, we have a rookie sensation, Jaden Daniels, who's led his team to the NFC Championship game.
His first year after leaving LSU. Unbelievable.
And I saw this crazy statistic that Jaden Daniels has won the same amount of playoff games or more playoff games than Dak Prescott has in 9 years. Oh, man. It's so awful to be a Dallas Cowboys fan. It's so painful.
Hold on. Oh, jeez. Oh, my gosh. Oh. Oh.
One season, Jaden Daniels is already better than Dak Prescott.
You know what's also awesome?
What?
Former offensive coordinator Kellen Moore is the offensive coordinator for Philly. He left McCarthy's staff. And then Dan Quinn left last year to be the head coach at Washington.
What's going on, Jerry Jones? Why do you let good people leave?
The head coach's assistants are doing better than him.
And Mike McCarthy left, so we interviewed Kellen Moore for the job. But I don't know who's the new Cowboys coach is going to be. That's not important right now. But
honestly, I don't know.
The NFC Championship, with the way Jaden Daniels and his team has been playing, you can't count them out.
Yeah, but you can't count out the Philadelphia Eagles, too.
Very stingy defense, strong run game.
Yep, tush push.
And Jalen Hurts hasn't been as big of a factor as he was that one year they almost made it to the Super Bowl.
No, it's mainly been the Saquon Barkley show.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley had 2 touchdowns, I believe, over 30
And
yards.
he had that long run to basically ice it there at the end.
Yep, and that's why I think the Eagles, sadly, are going to win.
Sadly, are going to win.
I don't want either team to win because I mean, I want the Commanders to win, but I just think the Eagles are gonna win because they have more experience in that regard. Experience wins more oftentimes than not.
Really?
So I got the Eagles in that game.
Well, I'll say a couple of things for the prediction. I'll say, fly, Eagles, fly. Fly, Eagles, fly.
That's almost a
Fly.
disgrace that you know that song as a Cowboys fan.
So guess what? Give me the Washington Commanders to beat Philadelphia and get to the Super Bowl. Boom, portrayal the Cowboys.
Well, we can't really, we're betraying them either way with either prediction. Like,
Give me the Commanders.
I'll secretly be rooting for them, but like, I just think the Eagles are gonna win.
Give me them Commanders to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Dude, imagine if Jaden Daniels were to win the Super Bowl. That would look so bad on Prescott's on this, bro. A rookie quarterback winning the Super Bowl, and Dak has been talking about that for like 4 or 5 years now. He's won 2 playoff games.
This is our year. This is our year. No, this hasn't been our year since the '90s. I wasn't even alive when they won the championships, to be perfectly real. But
What we're probably going to do is probably hire another young Jason Garrett. He'll probably win them around, like, probably win 5 games his first year, 8 his second, 8 his third, 5 his fourth. Then finally 6, he gets to maybe 11 wins. And then we maybe get to 12-3, and then we bust our asses off in the playoffs, first round. And then we fire a coach after 6 years, and then we start all over. That's just how it is.
yep, just a perpetual cycle of doom.
Here's how I look at it. It's the natural cycle of life.
Success,
Success,
and then you're reborn again, and then success, death, reborn.
reborn again.
It just starts over. You fail, succeed, fail, succeed.
Yeah, but Jerry's been doing it since the 1990s, so his expiration date's probably coming up here soon. Well, actually, his expiration date's been expired for like 20 years, so.
Just retire. Enjoy the rest of your retirement, Jerry. Like, enjoy the rest of your life. The Cowboys isn't a very enjoyable industry right now. Go play some golf or something. Do what old people do. Bro's still walking really nice. He had a whole cameo in a TV show. Like, he puts more effort into his yacht collection than he does to the Dallas Cowboys.
I mean, he flies to his football practices on a helicopter and lands in the middle of the dang practice turf.
And I'm tired of talking about the Dallas Cowboys and their
I
disappointment.
am too. I'm extremely tired because we know the story every year.
Same old song and dance. The direction of this podcast is certainly interesting right now. We don't know what the heck we're doing at this point.
I don't know. It's 9:34 at night. I'm clearly tired.
We're just chilling right now, and that's, I think, we're gonna approaching the end of this episode pretty soon.
Oh, getting the crazy talk out of the way. We haven't talked about many coaching changes besides the Dallas Cowboys, obviously, but we haven't talked about many college or NFL coaching, especially college. We haven't talked a whole lot about college or NFL coaching changes.
Yeah, lots of moving parts recently, and potential coach changes. I've seen Marcus Freeman rumors to the NFL
Really?
because his buyout's not that much.
Yeah. Well, we talked about Have we talked about Bill Belichick going to North Carolina?
I think we did. We just made jokes about his girlfriend convincing him to go there or something.
Uh,
It'd be interesting to see how he interacts with 18-year-old kids.
mhm. Oh, here's a familiar name. Remember the old Nebraska slash UCF head coach Scott Frost?
Yeah, he's going to be coaching back at UCF again.
Yeah, he's back at UCF and he might go 13-0 again and might do something.
We'll see.
Yeah, and let's see here.
Just
Really.
minor position changes.
Oh, how about Dan Mullen going to UNLV?
Yeah, I saw that one too. That was certainly interesting. He's been out of the game for a while.
Yeah,
It'll be
Mike
interesting to
Gundy,
see him.
Mike Gundy is still retained. Sam Pittman was able to get out of this year. He's probably gonna be retained. Billy Napier is gonna be retained.
Billy
Um,
Napier had to fight tooth and nail for that job at the very
the
end of
Billy
the
Napier, yeah, yeah. Um, Dave Aranda is retained. Um, let's see. As I'm looking at this, I'm seeing the A&M Texas highlights. I'm on CBS right now, and I'm literally seeing this. Arch Manning scoring a touchdown.
No negative memories. Get the negative thoughts out of here. Up and out. Be gone. Be gone.
All I got.
A lot of minor coaching changes, and I see a lot of former players going to coach position coaches, becoming position coaches now in
Yeah.
college football. Which brings me to my last really major point in this podcast or major point of discussion. Do you think we could see a coach in his 20s, a head coach at a major D1 level in his 20s?
Yeah.
You think we could in the future?
Yeah. I mean, how old was, going to the NFL, but how old was Sean McVay when he became head coach at LA, at the
His
Rams?
early 30s, early 30s.
So close. Um, Actually, let me search it up. College
Kenny
football.
Dillingham is the most current young one.
FAU makes Texas Tech OC Zach Kitley youngest FBS head coach. Oh, okay. So the former Texas Tech offensive coordinator is 33 years old. So it's pretty close.
I think
Honestly, I wouldn't say early 20s. I would say like maybe late 20s, close to 30.
it's never going to be early 20s because most of those guys that play college football are in their early 20s.
Yeah.
I think we
And
could be a coach maybe 28, 29 years old, maybe.
yeah, well, and for some players, if they go off to the NFL, then they'll have a career there. And then after they're done, what do they do after that? Because you can't just be a head coach right away. You got to be a graduate assistant or some kind of assistant, um, and then go up the rankings: offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, head coach. I mean, there's a whole lot of steps that take.
Yeah, but we see coaches coaching younger and younger, especially today,
Yeah,
which
for
yeah,
sure.
just makes me think: can we get coaches at younger ages? Who knows? At this point, I don't think we'll see it for the foreseeable future, but I think it can
Definitely.
happen. I've seen Teddy Bridgewater coach a high school state championship and then go back and play in the NFL. I mean, that was a phenomenal story to watch. But
Yep.
anywho, I think that's about everything we've covered here today in this segment.
Sorry if our jibber jabber was all over the place.
Allison will let all of it out. It'll be fine. Don't worry. Be happy now.
Here's what I want to leave off. Be safe. You may make stupid decisions and try and make the world a better place.
Yeah, please learn how to drive too, because I'm tired of dealing with y'all. Drive better. Be nice. Be nice. Be kind. Spread positivity wherever you go. Don't leave negative thoughts hanging out there in the middle of nowhere. That doesn't help.
And one more thing too. Make America great again.
Make America great again. And without further ado, I am Ethan Mailer, and I am signing off.
And I'm Drew Geltmeyer signing off. See y'all later.